At first glance, life in rural Cambodia, although clearly very poor, seems happy enough. But for laborer Ian Noy and his family, there is one sad and painful memory they live with each day. Nearly 10 years ago, Ian Noy was away from home working on a fishing boat. When he returned, rather than a happy reunion, he discovered his 16-year-old daughter Rinoy had disappeared.
I lost my daughter and I don't know where to find her. I am very worried that my daughter has been sold somewhere, maybe to a foreign country. I am so worried.
No one seems to know what happened to Rinoy. All that's left is a memory. The family is so poor, there's not even a photograph of her.
When I think about it, the tears just come. My life has been very hard. If I don't work, my children will have nothing to eat. But I do work hard. I miss my daughter. When she left, she was just this tall. Whenever I think about it, I just start to cry.
In this one village alone, boys aged 15 to 17 outnumber girls by 50%, which raises the obvious question, where have the girls gone? Some say to Phnom Penh or southern Thailand, but for most, their present circumstances are unknown. While the risks of human trafficking are greatest to young people leaving home, there are also consequences for young people left behind when the adults leave. Noy Kuntia is 14 and suffers from chronic stomach and chest problems. Her parents have both left. She thinks they went to neighboring Thailand to look for work, but she hasn't heard from them in more than 8 years. Kuntia lives in a dilapidated hut with holes in the roof and one younger sister, Kunti. Kunti faces the nearly impossible task of attending school, working in a neighbor's field to earn money for food, and then tending to her sick elder sister.
I go to school in the morning for 3 hours, and in the afternoon I go to a neighbor's house to look after their cow, and sometimes I work in the field as a laborer. The neighbor gives me rice or sometimes some money, but often there isn't enough rice for both of us. So I give it to my sister because she's sick and she must eat.
The sad story of these two girls is, however, not without hope. Thanks to a partnership between the Cambodian government and the ILO's Mekong Anti-Trafficking Project, Noy Kunti is at least keeping up with her studies. Here at school, the teacher instructs his class about ways to avoid human trafficking, often caused by ill-prepared migration. These special classes have helped Kunti realize that migration can be beneficial as long as a migrant is aware of the risks, is old enough to work, and crucially, has planned the trip carefully.
It's very important to know before you leave home about the tricks that can be waiting for you at the other place. The more we know, the harder it is for people to trick us.
The ILO's Mekong Anti-Trafficking Project has supported this kind of awareness raising in a number of areas, directed and carried out by local government partners.
We target 5 villages in this area because it has a high rate of migration to various places within Cambodia, like Siem Reap, Siem Reap, and Phnom Penh, while other people travel to Thailand.
While working in small areas has been successful, reaching a larger audience of young people has required a different strategy. And in Cambodia, the way to reach large numbers is through television. This soap opera is about 2 girls trafficked within Cambodia. One is coerced into abusive labor, while another is trafficked into prostitution. With more than 20 episodes about trafficking, this show reached as many as 4 million viewers. Audience surveys indicate it was so successful in raising awareness about trafficking, the ILO and BBC transformed it into a feature-length film. This time, a teenage boy is prevented from being trafficked onto a fishing boat. The two local movie stars educate the boy about the deception involved.
Viewers responded really well to the characters portrayed in the films and learnt about the link between migration and trafficking. Most importantly, they learnt about the need to really plan ahead before leaving home in order to avoid either forced labour or sexual exploitation at their destination, whether that be within Cambodia, in neighbouring countries or beyond.
But raising awareness about what could happen in another place simply isn't enough to prevent human trafficking. And the ILO's Mekong Anti-Trafficking Project has supported vocational training courses for teenage girls and young women who one day may migrate in search of work. It's intended to improve their skills and marketability. The garment business is one of Cambodia's major export industries, and this 17-year-old girl is learning to produce textiles. The course acts as a stopgap. Since the legal working age is 18, it allows her to remain home for the time being.
I was planning to leave home for Phnom Penh, but I will stay home with my mother for now because I have received this training from ILO. It's very helpful to me and I'm very grateful. So thank you.
Another rapidly growing industry in Cambodia is tourism. And while that's good for the country, it can present a challenge to prevent trafficking of young people into labor and sexual exploitation at tourist destinations. Here on the beach at Sihanoukville, the main seaside resort, children selling items on the beach are vulnerable to sexual advances by some tourists. An NGO is working with these youngsters to warn them about the dangers and ways to stay safe.
Sometimes people try and trick or cheat the children and take them away to sell them.
But sex abuse is not the only hazard facing young people here.
Child labor exploitation means paying children very little. This includes peeling crabs or working in a restaurant for very little salary.
To help prevent both sexual and labor exploitation of young people in this growing sector, the ILO has been working with the government of Cambodia as well as workers and employers organizations in the tourism trade. The Child Safe Tourism Program, launched by the Ministry of Tourism, aims to train employers, workers, and tourists alike what to do if they see a young person vulnerable to abuse.
I was invited to the workshop and told that if I saw something like this, I should make a confidential call to the hotline.
Before I attended the special training on child safe tourism, I was aware that children would sometimes come to the hotel and restaurant with tourists, but I didn't think much of it. Now I am very aware of it and the potential problems. I have informed all my staff to keep a close watch for this. It's good for us to learn and be involved.
In
In the tourism sector, we don't allow young, underage children to stay in the hotel unaccompanied by their parents. Also, we don't allow the underage children to work in the hotel industry. We have a good cooperation with the private sector. They have collaborated with us very well.
While the abuses caused by some foreign tourists are often the focus of attention here, there are more than twice as many Cambodian tourists traveling inside the country as well. And so, while children on the beach may be vulnerable to abuse by foreigners, a darker side of town caters to Cambodian men openly searching for sex. These two young women were found in one of the many brothels near the port. One offered this warning to girls leaving home in search of work in tourist areas.
I want to tell all the women, don't come here to look for a job. Be very careful, or you will be tricked and could be sold.
When asked if she was tricked or cheated, she refuses to answer. The next day, we caught up with another woman, Sus Nari. She had a lucky and very narrow escape from a trafficker.
I had a friend who asked me to go to Gakong with her. That girl, who I thought was my friend, just left me at the guest house. I had to stay overnight, and while I was there, I was told by a woman working there that I'd been sold. And the buyer was planning to force me into prostitution. She helped me to escape.
In order to help young women like Susnari who've already arrived here in Sihanoukville and in other tourist areas like Siem Reap, more vocational training is on offer here at the destinations. The ILO's Mekong project has helped many teens and young women through the work of its social and governmental partners and the NGOs it supports. The future of every country relies on the talents and dreams of its youth. Preventing trafficking and exploitation of these young people is therefore the duty of us all.